Bismillah, Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barak wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for joining us tonight. I wanted to just give everybody kind of a brief overview of how the evening is going to progress. We are recording the session, and towards the end, there'll be an opportunity for you all to ask questions. Um, whether that's in the Q&A box or the chat box, we'll let you all know when we get to that point. So just make a note of anything that comes up, and we'll do our best to answer any questions that are coming. A lot of the impetus for this gathering stemmed one, because so many people in our community were expressing interest to go for Hajj this year. We had sent out a pre-Hajj interest form and had 460 people fill it out, mashallah. And even for this webinar, I think we had more than 200 people register for it, maybe even closer to 250. Last year, when we were prepping people for Hajj in our community, I hosted a Hajj workshop just to get people ready. And in person, we had so many people that attended. Well over 100 people in our community went for Hajj last year, mashallah, that we knew of. And when they came back, a lot of them said that the process for signing up for Hajj was something that they wish they understood a little bit more about better in advance. And two, uh, that they enjoyed the experience, but it would have been nicer to have gone with people that they knew rather than in groups segmented. So I asked, my good friend, my brother Ahmed, who works at Dar es Salaam Travel, if there's a way that we could coordinate a group that enabled people to just have a step-by-step understanding of what the process is for Hajj in and of itself, with the new system that the Hajj ministry has implemented over the last few years post-COVID. And two, if there was programs that we could direct people to from our community so that people could travel together. I personally won't be going for Hajj this year, and we're trying to still determine if we'll have group leaders that are particularly going from our community, or will we be channeling people to pre-existing group leaders. The stage in which the Hajj registration is right now is also still very much preliminary. And Ahmed will go into this more, but there aren't packages to sign up for yet, let alone directing people to groups that have leaders that are leading those groups. But we'll keep everybody updated on what that ends up looking like. Um, Ahmed is going to give a presentation on just the registration process and other things that are important to know at this stage. We'll have some opportunity for question and answers. That presentation should take about 30 minutes or so at most. And then once we're done with the Q&A, maybe we'll end with a dua, but it should be a pretty quick program. And we'll share the recording with everybody after the fact as well. But Ahmed, why don't you feel free to begin and then we'll go from there, inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Jazakumullah khair, Imam, for this opportunity. May Allah bless you. Um, you know, uh, this is definitely a great opportunity to explain to everyone what the new process is. As you know, Imam, pre-COVID, the process was a little different. It was a little easier for everyone with regards to how they book in their local region or local area. They pick up the phone and they go online and they register online, and they're able to go with an agency or an organization. Um, what's happening now post COVID, and we saw from the poll that it's probably a 50-50 split of the understanding of being familiar with nusuk. And just to clarify, so there's no confusion, there's two types of nusuk, right? There's the nusuk app, the application nusuk app, which many of us probably use during Umrah if we've gone to Umrah for the past few years. And then there's the website. So the whole objective here for the ministry is to streamline the process and have a one-stop shop, if you will, platform. So it's kind of like a marketplace, and they called it Nusuk. They obviously experimented first, and there's, alhamdulillah, there's improvements every year. And what they wanted to do is they wanted part of vision 2030 is to bring in a process that is run and operated by Saudi service providers. And this platform, this marketplace is going to be in the vision and the plan is for it to be implemented worldwide. But what they did is they started off first with the non-Muslim countries that don't really have a ministry of Hajj or a ministry of religious affairs. And those 130 countries are pretty much all of the Americas, Europe, Australia, and some of the Eastern or the Far East countries. So we fall into that. And what's interesting is that these 130 countries only amount to approximately, or probably a little less than 5% of the Hajj that go. So it does make sense for them to implement all of this on these countries because the number is smaller, but it is we who basically test out this system, and we've been testing it for the past few years. So alhamdulillah, we do see significant improvement, and the system is intended to be transparent, have all the options, have all the programs. And these service providers are all Saudi service providers. These are all major service providers, major companies in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And then pretty much everyone is thinking, well, what is everyone else's role? And like Imam Khalid had mentioned, that individuals prefer and would want to be together with a community. And what happens would be is a company organization like Dar es Salaam is going to be kind of the liaison or the advocate that creates the awareness and the education based on its partnerships with certain service providers. So basically, it's the voice, it's the assistance and the support between the service providers, the Saudi service providers that may not be familiar with specific nuances for every country, and it would tie with and work hand in hand with the organizations and the communities and the scholars that are going to be traveling or will be referring the Hujjaj to be traveling together. So that's really the summary of what Nusuk is. The platform is considered like any marketplace or website that you can go in and choose from packages. Of course, the difference here is that just to throw out some numbers, in 2025, there were 300,000 registrants. And the quota, of course, restricts us. Right? Every country is restricted to a quota. And the quota for this whole Nusuk platform is around 55,000. So typically, it's safe to say there is approximately 25% of the individuals that will travel. And of course, every package or every program is different with regards to the type of hotels, the duration, and the type of camp. And we can get into all the details of the camp, but for this purpose, the intent here is to explain what Nusuk is and how to begin the process of Nusuk. The end result would be, inshallah, to purchase the package based on what Imam Khalid, inshallah, decides on which type of package will be, I guess, earmarked for the Islamic Center of New York City. And it can vary based on the survey that Imam Khalid had mentioned. There could be several packages, and depending on who's going to be leading. But for sure, every package will be led by a leader who is qualified and, of course, vetted by Imam Khalid, inshallah. So, Imam, is that a good explanation from the beginning before we begin the presentation?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That was good.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is going to share a quick presentation just to kind of give you an understanding. Basically, the agenda is what is Nusuk, what would be Dar es Salaam's role in assisting Imam Khalid, the Islamic Center, as well as the community, and then, of course, a kind of a recap of what happened in Hajj 2025, and then what the next steps would be. So again, as we've mentioned, Nusuk is a platform. This is basically when you enter, I think it's changed. The colors have changed now, Imam, to some green, I think. But this is basically the idea here. And you would start registration. So you would have to create a registration or you create a profile like any other website. And when you create the profile, it asks you for the country of residence. And the great thing here is question a lot of people ask, well, if I'm in the United States and my relative is in Canada or in the UK or in Australia, yes, you can definitely go together if you choose the package together, which is always the challenge at the end. But you would have to register yourself separately because you're a different country of residences. However, if you are family members or friends that are residing in the same country, you can create profiles and then link yourselves up to eight in a profile. So it's pretty straightforward. You click on the country of residence and then you create an account with a unique email. Every single person needs to have a unique email. You log in and you'll get an OTP. And when you get the OTP, you're able to enter. And once you enter, you upload two documents. So make sure that they're very clear. The guidelines are there. It's attached a copy of your passport and a copy of your personal photo, usually white background, somewhat formal attire. And it's, 200 by 200 pixels. And we can always guide you on this as well. Then they'll ask you a slew of questions. The challenge here is that there are some questions that are required to be answered. However, they might not be something that you might know. So for instance, you'll see home address, street address, and home address, right? So street address and home address, you can copy and paste those together, duplicate them. Arrival details, we're putting in here 18th May of 2026, just as an example, by the way. You're not going to be held accountable to general questions, but of course, specific private questions, those are important. Typically, we'll put at expected days, 14 to 21 days. It's by air. And then they ask for a flight number. We put TBD. So this is just an idea of what the application form would look like. Once you get the application profile and you upload those two documents and answer all the questions, you go under verification. The next step would be basically verification. Again, here's a page or a link that says my family, and you can link up to 8 people, or you being the eighth person. And again, we'll provide the guidelines after. So I want to go back to an image here of the steps. So the steps really essentially is this. There are 10 steps to booking Hajj. The first is creating an account on the Nusuk website, not the app, uploading the documents like we mentioned, filling the application, and then awaiting verification. That is exactly where everyone is right now. So anyone that registered a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, they are currently still in the application verification. Approximately 25% of the individuals that registered so far have been verified. Everyone else is still being verified. Sometimes there's rejections and it's perfectly fine. You just upload the documents again. After that, we wait for the preferences of categories and then the top up of the e-wallet. Basically, the e-wallet is your digital account or your digital wallet on the website, and you have to actually load it up with money before you begin to purchase the package. So at this time, we're still only on the verification. We're expected the e-wallet will begin sometime by the third week of December. And then we get to browse the service providers. Typically, what we would do is coordinate with Imam Khalid on the service providers we're going to be partnering with and the options and the programs we're going to have. Chances are, Imam, correct me if I'm wrong, we may have 2 options or 3 options because, of course, generally speaking, it's going to be very difficult for everyone to choose the same package. Typically, 300,000 people logging in at the same time. A lot of them might not have the opportunity and might have to choose a package that's available after. So we'll most likely probably have a 3 different categories of packages that are affordable to everyone. Would that be the assumption, Imam?
Yeah, I believe so. But also likely there'll be tiers as well. I think
Yeah.
we've had enough interest that people would probably need to go for a shorter number of days or longer number, however the packages are structured. But there'll be multiple options will offer.
Right. Inshallah. So at that point, we would then provide you guidance on what the packages are going to look like, train you and create this awareness of how to register or how to purchase, exercise with you how to put it in your cart and how to remove it from your cart and how to book again and give you that practice because it practically takes a few minutes before most of the packages are sold out. So we'll walk you through that process. And then when the day comes for booking the package, we definitely provide you guidance on that as well on how that's going to happen. So again, here's the timeline. This is the timeline. Pilgrim registration is open from the 7th of October. That's officially when it opened through February 17th, but I wouldn't assume that February 17th will be probably very late for someone to purchase. The e-wallet and the package viewing is between December 21st and March 4th. However, March 4th is the last day, so I don't foresee booking available. So when the booking is available, this is the day that they're projecting that they would open the packages for sale. It's January 20th. So my assumption would be is by January 20th evening or January 21st in the morning, the packages will all be done. So don't assume that the February or March dates are anything. It's just that the system might be open for someone who cancels. So I would say that registration opened October 7th. E-wallet is the 21st. So we have until the 21st of December, or give or take a few days, to register on Nusuk and get verified. That's really all you have to do now. And just prepare your mindset on what your budget is and what your plan would be. And we definitely have a lot of training on this. We have a Telegram group. Imam will let me know if we can share that link at the end. And then basically that would provide the awareness and the information prior to selecting the program. And we're hoping sometime around mid-January, mid to end of January is when the booking would be available, inshallah. Again, just to give you a little guidance in terms of pricing, the way the pricing is, there's a lot of terms that you're going to hear, and we can always post a lot of this information for you, and we'll walk you through that. By the way, every step of the way, it's going to be walking. So if something feels confusing, we promise you, we have videos about, we have training about, we have webinars. For Hajj 2025, Imam, we had over 42 sessions, live sessions, webinars, recordings. So I promise every single person of you who plans and intends to go to Hajj this year will be a pro by the end and will be able to assist others bi'idhnillah. So typically, just so we know, one of the main and key elements of a program is the type of package, type of camp that you're staying in Mina, which is most of the rituals that are there and most of the accommodations that you're staying besides Mecca and Medina hotels. And it's categorized by Al Ma'isam package or Al Ma'isam camp. Al Ma'isam camp is basically about a 45-minute to 1 hour walk to the Jamarat. It's the further away camp. It's somewhat a little more standard than the Mujar al-Kabsh. And the package pricing there is between 35,000 riyals to 53,000 riyals, which is between 9,000 to 14,000 USD. Mujar al-Kabsh is basically a slightly more upgraded camp, closer to the Jamarat, within walking distance, between 53 to 75,000 riyals, which is between 14,000 and 20,000 riyals, dollars. And then, of course, the new model of packages that they're going, they're basically they've built 10 vertical buildings, obviously, that are somewhere around 30 minutes walk from the Jamarat, that are somewhat a little more I guess you can say comfortable in a sense where they're not tense, they're buildings. And those begin at 19,000 USD. And that's just a little more on the luxury side. And these prices are typically including the flights and some, typically these prices are only between either 4 or 5-star hotels. That's what we would probably recommend, inshallah. Again, here's a website. There's a lot of help and support there also by Nusuk that you can utilize. But also, again, we'll have sessions almost every week starting from the beginning of December, inshallah, to guide everyone. A quick Hajj recap for 2025. Again, all Hajj packages are via Nusuk. There is no way that you can purchase a package if you are a citizen of or a resident that plans to book a package from the 130 countries, which are the Americas, Europe, Australia, and Far East countries. You cannot purchase anywhere else, right? And you do not pay anyone. You don't pay the agency. You don't pay an organization. You don't pay anyone. Everything goes through and solely through Nusuk platform. So you don't pay anyone on this. This is all has to be paid there. If an organization says to you, hey, if you pay us a deposit or you pay us this or that, and we can get you in, that is not legit. the ministry and the government insist on that everyone books directly onto Nusuk. We've heard some organizations doing it where they take the personal information, the passport information, all of that, and try to open an account for each individual. It's a bit dangerous because you can't guarantee that they can guarantee you anything on that. Again, registration is mandatory through hajj.nusuk.sa, hajj.nusuk.sa. Dar es Salaam, in collaboration and partnership with the organizations and the mashayikh, we continuously update you and provide announcements. The affiliation and ground assistance. So basically, Dar es Salaam partners with service providers that we, of course, vet and work with throughout the year for on-ground assistance and liaison for their clients, as well as free Hajj travel awareness and education. And again, the whole comprehensive services. You register, you book, you pay. The visas are all there. Everything is centralized through Nusuk, inshallah. Again, everything exclusive payment is through Nusuk. Like we said, limited registrations and quotas. So there was approximately, we said, based on those that registered and had interest with through Dar es Salaam and its partners, about 35% of Nusuk registrants successfully secured Hajj packages. The initial platform issues, sometimes you'll face challenges, so please don't panic. Sometimes there'll be errors, sometimes there'll be delays in OTP and so on and so forth. And again, like we said, we support you from every step of the way throughout the process from A to Z with our partners and our organizations and mashayikh. We also create, when the packages are out, we'll create a sheet or a website that you can actually filter through to see. This is an example of what we did Hajj 2025. We provided the Hajjaj a very simple sheet or online website that you can click on and view all the packages, filter through provider, filter by category, filter by days, filter by hotels, filter by shifting or non-shifting, sort by pricing. And then if you see the box on the left-hand side that says the link, it actually directs you all the way, so you don't have to click 10 times to get to the package you want. It'll provide you a copy of that link where you can open it right away, so it can be seamless for you. So we'll walk you through this whole process, but the first and most important thing is the registration, inshallah. So, Imam, I guess that was quick. That was less than 30 minutes. Alhamdulillah. So, any questions for you, Imam, before I'm just thinking out loud before we open it up for the Q&A, or if any comments that you prefer?
No, I think just if people can make sure they're paying attention very diligently, and take the timeline very seriously, there is going to be a ton of people that try to jump on the portal. Even last year, we had a lot of people reaching out because they're just not paying attention to the dates that Brother Ahmed was sharing with us. So just make sure you're on top of that. You don't want to miss out on that opportunity because, correct me if I'm wrong, Ahmed, but everyone has to do that part on their own, right? They're gonna have to individually um, engage, register on Nusuk in the way that you described, and people from everywhere are trying to do it. It's gonna just, create um, a very limited window of opportunity to engage. But yeah, we can start the Q&A, I think, and just
Okay, inshallah. Yes, and Imam, and that's correct. I mean, we can definitely walk them to the water, right? But eventually they would have to do those clicks. And again, when the packages go live as well, we are online live, helping and assisting. Bismillah, mashallah, there's such an amazing amount of team members that are there to assist you. We open the chats, we can always answer. We'll have Hajj 101s. Imam, we actually do, besides the 40 sessions and over 40 sessions that we did, we usually have a standing Hajj 101 series every Monday and Wednesday for anyone that wanted to ask questions. So we're very hands-on. We'll be there every step of the way. The only thing that we can't control is when the system opens and when anyone can enter, inshallah. All right. So Imam, if you don't mind, I can start with questions.
yeah, Fadl, please go.
Okay, Bismillah. First question is what's the difference between shifting and non-shifting packages? It's basically exactly what you understand it to be, shift and non-shift. Shifting meaning moving, or non-shifting. So the shifting means at a certain time before the manasik or mash'ar of Hajj. Manasik of Hajj or mash'ar of Hajj is Mina, Arafat, and Muzdalifah. you shift from a hotel in front of the haram to a more cost-effective accommodations in a town or a district called Aziziyah, which is closer to the Mashar of Hajj. Non-shifting means you keep your hotel room near the haram while you are in the Mashar of Hajj, which people can see it as pros and cons. Again, if you intend to stay, um, excuse me, if you intend to stay the 5 or 6 days during the Mash'ar in Mina, Arafat, Muzdalifah, and not come back while you're in Mina for those 3 days after Hajj, then it may be a waste to have the hotel closer to Haram, and it might be more cost effective to do the shifting. The shifting means you cut the cost a little bit between shifting and non-shifting. However, if you feel more comfortable, hey, I'm gonna go do my tawaf and I need to just maybe lay on the bed comfortably or anything like that. Typically, if you are doing the Saudi Kidana, which is the more expensive program, you don't need a hotel because you are in a building structure. Imam, is that a good question, a good answer, a sufficient answer?
Yeah, I think also just in recognizing uh, from a fixed standpoint, all of these things have bases and validity to them. So you want to take into consideration when you're on the ground there, even where there's a quota, there's still a lot of people that are going to be there for Hajj, and movement in and of itself isn't just about your own individual pace, but all of these people are going to be moving simultaneously. So you have someone who's older with you, you might want to consider what you have the capacity for, and having access to a hotel room could be beneficial, just given some of the things that are happening on a more practical level. And as you go through the process, attending the sessions, the prep sessions, the Q&A sessions, we'll do some through also through the IC, but it won't be just about the theoretical and the various rulings of Hajj, the how-tos of Hajj, but on a practical level, how is it going to look when you're on the ground? Um, and if somebody chooses a different option, it doesn't mean again that one is better or worse. It's just circumstantially there would be reasons as to why someone might pick one over the other.
Yeah. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. All right. Should I register myself to Nusuk if my family member who I'm traveling with is already registered? Yes, you eventually you'll need to register. There's two ways of going about registering on Nusuk. So you can be added to your family member who's already registered. They'll have to create an account for you. You need a unique email and you're tied to their account. Or you can create your own account, which we highly recommend just in the event that you have to split for certain reasons, whether someone can't travel or the main person who is registered can't travel. I would prefer that you register on your own and then basically the head of the household or the head of the group then clicks on invitation to become a family member, which basically will pop up in their profile to put in your email. And if your email is already registered, you'll get a notification where you can accept that invitation, inshallah. Is payment done via bank card or direct deposit? Great question. So the payment can be done by both. We're also going to walk you through the best practices to top up your e-wallet. There's a lot of challenges sometimes depending on the credit card that you may be restricted. There will be the card will probably most likely be declined. You would have to call and communicate with the fraud department and they'll open it, access for it. But you can also do direct deposit. We highly recommend the bank card just in case you need a refund or need a withdrawal. It's a faster process than a direct deposit. But we'll definitely recommend the cards that you would want to get. Probably sometime in the middle in the beginning of December, we'll start talking about e-wallets and topping up. Typically, we prefer anything that is that you avoid foreign currency exchange because that's extremely important, but you definitely have the options of both. What happens with the money that is loaded into wallet after the purchase? If there's more left over, will it get sent back to the bank? Great question. So typically we would walk you through on how much you should put. And at time of purchase, if there's a difference of a variation of a few $1,000s, you can always add it there as long as you're comfortable that your card is going to be charged. But if you do have excess, then you can always request a withdrawal. So the process would be is that you click on withdrawal and it goes back to the same account that you paid by. So whatever card, you can have multiple cards. You can use three, four cards in one account. And then whatever you click on in terms of withdrawal, it'll go back to the last card that was on that file, less specific service fees that they charge. I think they charge probably around 2.3 or 2.5% that you potentially would lose after that refund process. Would you elaborate more on the packages? How is the airfare considered? Elaborate more on the packages. The packages are typically between uh, um, there's some packages that are 10 days, 14 days, and 21 days. And typically the service provider, we work with the service provider to do our best to make sure that we have the proper quality packages and the type of packages, Medina first, Mecca first, as well as the airlines. They choose airlines from different gateways. Typically, most packages will have a New York or JFK package. And then you'll have, I would say maybe 70% or 60% of the packages will at least have three or four gateways, the main ones, with whether it's Washington, Dulles, Chicago, Houston, Dallas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, but most definitely the majority of the packages will have a New York package. But again, we'll go into much more details with regards to packages and days and timings and the name of the hotels and how far it is and the type of airlines, whether it's Emirates or Saudia or Qatar or Turkish, and the gateways and arrival in Medina, arrival in Jeddah. All of that will be spoken about in due time. And of course, we do have Imam like a lot of recordings from last year. If anyone is interested, they can visit the Dar es Salaam YouTube channel and you if you want to preemptively research that, inshallah. The quota that was mentioned, does it happen during the verification process or does it happen when buying the packages? It happens when it's buying the packages. The verification process, they verify as many people as they as register. So there is no like limit. You can't be like denied verification. The verification is really more about your passport is doesn't expire. The passport has to be valid for 6 months of the day of your return. So if you're returning on this, let's say the 4th of June maximum, then you want it to be 6 months from that day. And then the packages, when they're up, then anyone, it's pretty much for whoever can have access to it. Specifically in the quota is every country has a quota. And then if a country specific, let's say, for example, um, the United States, UK, Canada, Australia, France, most of the time, these countries sell out very quickly from their quota. However, an example, Brazil. Brazil has a quota of 500. They typically probably purchase 100. So 400 are left back. And then what happens is in an additional phase, they'll open up all the remaining visas from the 130 countries. And then basically American can purchase it again as well. We're not going to get into the exact quota numbers for each country because that becomes a little confusing. We can answer that when the time comes closer, inshallah. Does husband and wife each have registered separately and then link to each other counts as one of the 8 links? That's correct, yes. If our family lives in a Muslim country that doesn't use nusuk, what would you recommend to ensure we can be together? Um, I don't believe you'll be able to be together. So if they're in a Muslim country, if they have okay, so ma'am, correct me if I'm wrong here. So if is the question being asked that they are, let's say they're not nationals or they're not citizens of the 130 countries?
Well, why would there be a country that's not in Nusuk and can they access Hajj without it?
Because they're saying it's a Muslim country, right? So Egypt, Turkey, Pakistan, India, Morocco, most of these countries run on their own quota, right? They don't work through Nusuk.
Sure. Okay.
So if I'm gonna assume that it's a Muslim country that has its own quota that doesn't work, the
So
130
Alep's family
country,
is from Turkey.
what's that?
Aleph, who's asking the question, her family's from Turkey.
Okay, so if they are Turkish citizens and they're not citizens of non-Muslim countries, then you won't be able to go with them, or they won't be able to go with you on the Nusuk platform. Unless you are a citizen of Turkey, then you would have to probably register with them from Turkey.
So they would likely have zero probability of going together if they're going from two different countries in this scenario.
If they're going from two different countries that
Like,
operate on
yeah,
different
on
platforms.
different platforms. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the minimum days? Is there a 7 day or 10 day package? There is a 10 day package, inshallah. That would probably be the most, the minimum. Typically, you would have to enter on the 4th of Dhul Hijjah, which is this year, the 21st of May, and depart, I'm sorry, yeah, 21st of May. And the earliest you can come back is the 31st of May. Uh, I believe, yes. Will there be 10 to 12 packages? How much those cost approximately? Yeah, so we don't have the exact cost yet. We gave you an estimate. Usually the 10 or 12-day packages are usually more expensive. Also, what happens to the money you upload to Nusuk if you can't make it? You get a full refund. Yes, you can withdraw the funds, but there is a service fee of about 2.3%, 2.5%. Salam, thank you for this. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you all the people trying to coordinate groups from the NYC community. MashaAllah. I've been trying to get ahead of the game and register, but I ran into receiving a glitchy email that didn't give reasons for rejection. But when I logged in, it said rejection with no details that I can see. How do you suggest we navigate that and have other people run into this? Is there a contact? And also contact if this is too early of a question of the group. I apologize. Great question, Sister Nusrat. Yes. So, you're not the only one. There's many people getting this error because Nusuk has changed or modified or updated the system and the platform from last year, the color scheme, and I'm sure there's a lot of internal things that they've changed. You do get I believe, an email. It's like a syntax error, and it says all this, gibberish, right? Computer gibberish. But when you do go inside your platform, your profile, and you do see a rejection, but there's no reason, I think they have an error in terms of sending you what the reason is. What we found is the best option is to re-upload your documents and re-upload your photo again, and you'll go back into verification process. Now, if you get rejected again, then you'll know that one of the documents has an issue. So you might have to do a clearer document and upload again. If I register my wife with me, but later she's unable to go due to health condition, can I remove her prior selecting a package? That's correct. So that's why we always recommend that everyone have their own profile and then add them as an invitation. So that way you can unlink the family member before purchasing a package, inshallah. For someone who's on a valid work visa in the US H-1B, am I eligible to register on Nusuk through the US? Yes, that's absolutely correct, Brother Matthew. You can. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair for all your efforts. May Allah reward you with Ameen, Ameen. Inshallah, would love to perform Hajj with your group, bearing in mind our family is based outside the US. How would you recommend going about this? Um, so Sister Marwa, again, if your family is from countries, let's say the UK or the Netherlands or Spain or Portugal, and are citizens of any country in the Americas, Europe, Australia, I don't know, Japan, Hong Kong, or anywhere that in that region, then they definitely can register on Nusuk and be able to go on a package that's with you. However, if they are on Muslim, they're coming from Muslim countries, the Muslim countries or you know countries that have majority Muslims or countries that have major Muslims like India, Pakistan, Turkey, Morocco, Algeria, Libya, any of these countries, they have to go through there, and you will not be residing in the same area. You are able to probably see each other during Mecca and Medina, but not won't be performing Hajj together. What are the tips to ensure we are able to be within 25% to actually sign up for Hajj, inshallah? So great question, Sister Husna. So just we follow instructions as best as we can, and then basically say Bismillah when the system opens and hope that you are from the first ones in the queue, and that will give you an opportunity. But once you're in, you need to be ready, and that's why will make every effort to make sure that you're ready because once you're in, you need to have made that decision already. It's in the cart and you exit. Chances are is the probability of, or the highest probability is probably the more cost-effective package has a lot more inventory, and the most highest priced package has more inventory, or sorry, not more inventory, less inventory but less demand. but the more cost-effective package has higher inventory but higher demand. I don't know if that's would that be a tip, Imam? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really you just want to try. What I would say is don't get discouraged if something doesn't go right off the bat when you're trying
Yeah,
to register. Just try again, you know?
yeah.
And if things work out, that the thing we're solving for here is not like Americans early on were able to just go at their leisure. I went for Umrah for the first time after COVID in 2022. I hadn't gone for a few years, and I went right before the cutoff date for when they start prepping for Hajj and they don't issue visas anymore. So it was very empty, alhamdulillah. Another pro tip if you want to go. And we did tawaf in 11 minutes. We did our whole tawaf
SubhanAllah.
right on the mataf. It was beautiful. But we were in Medina, and there was some brothers from Indonesia we ran into, and they were there. They were the first ones who came for Hajj, like that many months in advance, on their package. And they said to me and my friends, "How was it getting here?" And we said it was so easy. We went online, got our own visas for Umrah, and booked our own flights and our hotels. And we said, "How was it for you?" And the man said to me, Alhamdulillah, it was so easy. I put my name in the lottery 11 years ago, and this year I got chosen to come for
SubhanAllah.
Hajj, right? He was so
SubhanAllah.
happy. And that's how it was for a lot of people in the world. And so now for
SubhanAllah.
us, it's like you're getting into a similar sense of, um, you just put in the efforts and then the results are with Allah, you know? Inshallah will
Ameen.
facilitate.
Inshallah. Inshallah. And Imam, just a interesting story, right? Um, the system opens and some people were so disheartened because they weren't able to go in. There was errors and delays in the OTP server and some things like that, right? And everyone was panicking. Some people weren't able to make it. And by the time they entered, it was too late. So we said, hang on there. There's this Saudi Kidana package. It's a little pricey, and there's some people, alhamdulillah, that were able to afford it. But there were some people that weren't able to afford it. And subhanAllah, they were just very disheartened and they felt like they can't make Hajj. And we just said, keep trying, just keep logging in because there's some people that either release their package or they cancel because of issues. And subhanAllah, like, I think if I'm not mistaken, maybe 3 weeks before Hajj, I know there's one sister, subhanAllah, has been trying for they started February 9th is when they opened the packages for Hajj 2025. And I think if I'm not mistaken, sometime in the middle of May, she went on, she
Wow.
was going on every day, Imam, from
Mm,
February 9th to mid-May,
yeah.
every single day, probably Allah Alam, maybe 30 times a day.
Mm,
And something happened. Someone released a seat and she bought it.
inshallah.
So like you said, it's in Allah's hands, but we have to make an effort. And one thing that I wanted to add is, when we asked the authorities, like, how can we, how can you help us? Like, how can you increase the quota? How can you help people to increase the chances? And the answer was like, listen, this is as fair or as the best outcome for those citizens of these 130 countries, because what we can end up doing is do a lottery system, limit people for 5 years or 10 years and do a lottery system. So then we can go into that process. And then now that you have to put in your system and Allah Alam, maybe you could end up going 10 years from now or 11 from years, 15 years now. So I believe that it's safe to say that if you plan and made the niyyah for Hajj, there's a strong chance, like we said, 25 to 30% chance, 35% chance. But I would probably say your chances are about 90% if you probably try for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, mashallah.
So it's better than any Muslim country, unless you have the money, obviously.
Yeah, subhanallah.
Yeah. All right. There's a question about vaccines on the application. What should people put right now if they haven't gotten it yet? Is that part of the process later? Yes, it's part of the process later. I don't know why they ask if you got your vaccine already, but that is one of the questions that really is preemptive. But I mean, you can say no, it's fine. It doesn't restrict you, it doesn't reject you whatsoever. It's not part of the verification process, so you don't have to worry, inshallah. Okay. Would a woman need a mahram if she's traveling with ICNYC? Great question. So this is a two-part question. The first part is the authorities and the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah and the kingdom no longer requires a mihram or requires any document whatsoever for sisters traveling without any mihram. The second question would be the religious question. That would be an Imam Khalid and part.
I mean, we've historically taken women in our groups without a mahram, and follow that opinion. And even before the ministry changed its policies, which is more recent than not, right? In comparison to how
Yes,
long Hajj has been happening. But
yes,
you know, we're doing Umrah groups for years. I think maybe 17 years, 18 years now. And with Dar es Salaam's support, we were always able to get, for the gross majority of those years, an approval from the Saudi consulate to take women without a mahram. So this, would kind of be facilitated. But this is the general rule they have for everybody now. Do you know?
yeah,
That we would take, and again, just whether you're in our group or another group, um, there are different opinions on many things. And if you follow an opinion and someone else is doing it differently, just in case we're not all together in any of this, you don't want to make someone feel like their Hajj is not valid because they're following an opinion that still has an evidence and a basis to it. They don't have to be wrong for you to be right. And if anything, you don't want to be the reason someone is discouraged? So my advice would be on fiqh matters, just leave your group leaders to be the ones who are speaking about it, because in our tradition, it's more of a sign of spiritual immaturity to believe you know the opinion on every matter. Do you know? And so there will be many women who are going from various places in the world, who are traveling in a group without a mahram with them. Um, and it's like something the Saudi ministry has institutionalized as well, you know.
yeah. Jazakallah khair, Imam. Okay. For those who register from Nusuk, do you make a new account or use the same login? Last year, I ran into an issue where my account was pending and customer service wasn't helpful. My account profile remained pending for months and registration closed. Brother Asad, a good question. I think you should use the same login and try to get verified. If you get verified, alhamdulillah, it's great. If it doesn't get verified and stays not verified until the end of December, then maybe there is an issue in your own account that we have to figure out a way to get it reset or but do not delete your account. The reason why I say do not delete your account, because when you delete your account, you think you'll be able to make a new account. But if your passport number is locked, someone in Nusuk has to reset it for you. So should you decide to take that risk and delete your account, you then have to call them, the Nusuk admins, and just at least you have a solution now to say, hey, this is my passport number. Can you reset the account so I can create a new one? But typically it should be fine, inshallah. From Morocco, should we do via Morocco and not Nusuk, all based here? Um, all based here, meaning if you are all based in the US and you are residents of the US, then you should go on Nusuk. But if there's no one, if there's specific people that are not residents of the US or citizens or permanent residents of the US and only from Morocco, then they would have no choice to go but from Morocco. Does that answer that, Imam? I think.
Yeah, I think so. If
Okay.
you have an option to do it from either or, though, was is one better than the other?
Well, from Morocco, it's definitely easier if you have the finances, right? So every country has a different process, but typically if you're willing to pay in most of these Muslim countries, it's probably easier. But if you're looking for something that's more cost effective, then you'll probably have a better chance on Nusuk, because most of these other Muslim countries have lottery systems.
Yep.
Can I join the group travel from outside of the US if I need to be in my home country before the Hajj? Yes, you can. Typically, the package you choose the package, and then you have an option to either choose a group flight or book live in the Nusuk system platform a ticket, let's say from Dubai or from Cairo or from Istanbul, but it has to all be done within Nusuk, inshallah. What about the heat in the summer and overcrowding? What harsh conditions to prepare for? Alhamdulillah, I think we've I think the harsh weathers of the summer have passed us. Typically now, yes, it is hot, but not to the extent. But again, our reminder is always to hydrate. Make sure that you have your meds. But alhamdulillah, considering the fact that the authorities have restricted all those that do not have proper Hajj permits or Hajj visas not to go for Hajj, I think their last report that we saw, Hajj 2025, that they actually turned back over 300,000 non-permitted Hajj or visitors that came basically 3 months before and were hiding in specific areas. So they've restricted a lot of these individuals. So what happens there is that, to be honest with you, if you've met anyone that's gone to Hajj before and has gone for Hajj in 2025, they'll probably tell you that that was the smoothest Hajj ever because there was only about 1.7 million Hajjis. So they're planning not to increase the Hajj quota this year, to my understanding. So I don't believe that you'll experience a major overcrowding this year. To be a resident of the USA, does it mean to hold a green card or can people on visa? Yeah, I mean, a resident meaning someone who can actually leave the country and return, with the exception of a tourist visa. Imam, do you want us to continue, or I kind of wanted to close at 10, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think a, a good number of these questions are just asking about linking family members who
Okay.
are looking.
So let's do I guess power 5 minutes, okay? Are there any recommendations for elderly relatives who use walkers? Should the package you go for matter with that in mind? Yes, we'll walk you through that inshallah when the time comes about elderly. We'll definitely recommend camps that are closer, which would be Majar al-Kabsh. What proportion of the total amount should we expect to pay into the e-wallet to register? No, to register the account, you don't need to put anything, but when the e-wallet opens and activates by the end of December, you would need to put 100% of the package or the amount that you can afford. How does not having a mahram affect the ability to purchase a package? Zero. Can I link a friend, or this feature is exclusively for family members? You can link anyone you like in your package. Assalamu alaikum. Submitting my Hajj application the first week of the opening period could boost my chances of approval. Does selection often depend on the country's quota category? The first week of the opening period could boost my. No, there is no specific. It's first come, first serve once they publish the package, and the country quotas. It's when you enter and when you're allowed to purchase. If my family member adds me as a family member without me registering by myself, then does my verification process only begin after my family member has been verified first? No, every person gets verified separately depending on the documents that put in, even if you're linked. What would be recommended time frame a person should consider taking time off from work? Earliest and latest dates. Earliest would be the 15th of May, latest would be the 4th of June. 15th of May, 4th of June. It can be 20 May to 31st of May, but the absolute earliest and absolute latest I would say is 15 May and to 4th of June. If family members are planning on going together and link accounts, do we all separately join the queue for the system? No, if you are all linked in one account, you're logging in with one account, so it's one user, one account, one queue. Apologies if a little off topic. If you have the option to book through agency morning inventory comfortable versus booking through government lottery, is it more virtuous to go to the lottery route? Is it more fair from a religious standpoint to wait your turn despite having means? Imam, I think that's a you question.
No, I mean, you should go and apply, right? Ultimately, Allah is writing for us what He's writing for us, you know? So, I mean, put in your application, and inshallah, Allah accepts from everybody. But I don't know if the frame of thinking about it in that way is really kind of a question of ethics as such. Um, Allah knows best.
Yeah, inshallah. How can I reach out to Nusuk admin from USA? There is no Nusuk admin in the US, but if you go on to hajj.nusuk.sa and contact us, you'll find contacts for Nusuk in Saudi Arabia. Salam, thank you for the session. Not sure if this is the right audience for the question, but can a bank salary be used for Hajj from a fiqh perspective?
You just shoot me an email and we can talk about it um, in terms of, the particulars of some of what you're asking. I just don't want to confuse people in terms of the question being asked, but yeah, feel free to just shoot me a message and we can discuss it.
Okay. Is the price the same even if you're not traveling from USA? No, so the land package price or the price without the airline is set. And then when you go into the next page to purchase a group ticket, there's a price for that. And then there's the live booking, as if like you're going on Expedia or something. It's called Al Musafir. So if you can Google search Al Musafir, ALMOSAFER, that's the GCC or the Gulf platform that they use for booking. How often between Hajj can someone go? Say go 1 year to do personal Hajj, next to go to Hajj. So from a system perspective, right now you can probably go every year. There's no restrictions at the moment. There's no 5 year restriction like some countries. You can go in as long as you are able to enter and do it. Now, of course, there's a lot of debate. Should someone do it or not? And I mean, that's a different conversation. How can I put a big amount of money from my bank account to e-wallet? A lot of banks have restrictions. Exactly. So what you'll do is you'll do the first one maybe for $1,000, then 2,000, then 5,000. Then you get a fraud alert and then you call the bank and they'll open it up. So it's a testing process. So we're going to have enough time to do this. It's not like you have to do it today and it has to go in tomorrow. So there's a process that will have maybe about a few weeks for you to transfer small increments or major increments depending on the bank and depending on your credit card, inshallah. So are we waiting for ICNYC to announce advised packages, groups, etc., inshallah? Well, the first thing that you would want to do is you want to follow us in terms of how to register on Nusuk, what you need to do on Nusuk before the packages. The packages are not going to be known until probably the beginning of January. But before that, you need to do a lot of other stuff. So inshallah, Imam Khalid will send you a link of this recording as well as the link to access our pages for communication and for updates and awareness, bi'idhnillah. Where to register outside USA? Register outside the USA. Nusuk is only the only platform to use for the 130 countries. Sister Fatima, if you're referring to a different country that is not 130 countries, which is Americas, Europe, Australia, and the Far East, and I think South Africa, then you would have to contact some agencies in that country that you're referring to, inshallah. All right, Sheikh, I think we're done. We answered all the questions, alhamdulillah.
Look at that. You did the last 15 in uh quicker than the first two.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
West Africa, you'll have to contact somebody from West Africa, inshallah. All right,
So
Sheikh, you want to end the session?
yeah, Jazakallah khair. So if everyone just kind of keeps an eye on emails, we have everyone who registered for this and people who filled out the interest form as well. Um, I think we can just close with a short dua, inshallah. Um, and then we'll send the recording link out at some point in the next few days.
Sorry, ma'am. Can I answer that last question? I don't want to
Yeah, go
leave
for it.
anyone hanging.
Yeah, please.
If I can't afford the price Nusuk offers, what's the process to get it back? So, as you've seen, the most cost-effective package is going to be at least $9,000 to $10,000. So, if you know for a fact that, the affordability for you is not there around $9,000 to $10,000, then I would probably recommend to wait, inshallah, until you can afford that. However, you need to always plan for the a little higher. I always say that whatever you can afford, plan for at least another 20% of that, just in case you can't get to that lower price. So if you can't afford 20% additional to 10,000, which would be, $12,000, right? Or whatever it may be, uh, let's say 12,000, $13,000, you should plan for that. If you can't plan for $13,000 or $12,000, then I think it's best to wait just in case, because you're going to have to make a split decision if you want to be able to afford something higher or not, if you can't make that price. But typically, I would say the average now is between 10 to 13,000 on the lower end. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh.
Barakallahu feek. Yeah, just in closing, I mean, make sure from now you're keeping just your intention something you're revisiting. The preparation process is not something that starts just weeks from now, months from now. But you just start it from now and make dua. Allah will facilitate it for you. We'll keep you updated on our end. Um, so electronically is where we're going to be engaging you the most part over email. So just take a look and keep it there. If anyone has any questions, just feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to facilitate whatever correspondence needs to happen, inshallah. But may Allah facilitate this for all of you and your loved ones and make it a journey that returns you back better than the state in which you left and enables it to become a means through which each of you draw closer to Him and accepts from all of us. So we'll see everyone soon, inshallah. Feel free to be in touch, and please keep our brother Ahmed and the Dar es Salaam staff in your du'as. It's a very big undertaking to facilitate Hajj for this many people. And it's crazy to think about. He's saying it's calmer with 1.7 million people there. So you can imagine what it's like when it's not that many people and they still keep coming back every year to facilitate. So may Allah increase them in their sincerity and conviction and reward them immensely for being a means through which we can actually be facilitated to perform these things. Barakallahu fikum. We'll then be in touch with everyone soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. جزاك الله خير إمام. السلام عليكم.